Well, I'm not a masochist, okay? Right now I'm leading every poll, and in most cases big, and I'm leading Iowa, I'm leading New Hampshire, I'm leading South Carolina, I'm leading everything. That's good. If that changed, if I was like some of these people at 1% and 2%, there's no reason to continue forward.
Well, you heard it right there. Donald Trump on CNBC saying he would drop out of the presidential race if he starts tanking in the polls. But that's a mighty big if, because take a look at the latest poll from Pew Research. The Donald still out in front at 25%, then Dr. Ben Carson, and Marco Rubio tied with Carly Fiorina for third place at 8%. The real story is you look at the second column, Ted Cruz at 6%. Talk about tanking. Jeb Bush at only 4%. So maybe Jeb is feeling bushed, and Donald could pick up more support. We'll see what happens. For more, let's welcome in via Skype the former Lieutenant Governor of New York, Betsy McCaughey. She joins us from New York. But at Newsmax New York, we're also pleased to welcome in journalist Ed Klein. Ed is the author of the new book, Unlikable: The Problem with Hillary. Let me state for the record, I like the book, and I like my guests very much. Ed Klein, let me begin with you. You were on the phone with Donald Trump earlier today. What can you tell us about that conversation?
Well, Donald and I had what I would call a short conversation. He's in the middle of running for president, so the fact that he took my call was great. He said, who's going to keep running if you're doing badly in the polls? He also said to me, I don't understand why people are making such a big thing of this. It makes sense. If you're doing badly, you quit. I don't think Donald really understands that some people don't quit so quickly. But in his case, it's very important not to be a loser. Donald makes a big thing about winners and losers. He doesn't want to go out as a loser.
Well, it looks like somebody is headed in that direction, Betsy, and that somebody is Jeb Bush. What do you think is happening in the Bush campaign right now?
Although it's very early in the race, but there's no question that Donald Trump is in it to win it. By the way, I wasn't surprised he took Ed Klein's call. Anybody would take Ed Klein's call. That's just common sense. And the fact is, when I see you pair Trump to Clinton, it's an interesting comparison. It's off-the-cuff candor versus carefully rehearsed deception. And nobody knows the deception half better than Ed Klein, who's made a real study of Hillary Clinton's deception.
Well, talk about the perfect, and we can even hear a child who probably is reading Unlikable squeal with delight about the revelations in the book.
That's my granddaughter in town for my daughter's wedding.
See, you're keeping it real, Betsy, and we won't say the child uttered on cue. That was just part of the charm there. But let's go to something less than charming, Ed, and that is Hillary's behavior and her demeanor and her campaign. What do you believe is the most revealing aspect of your new book, Unlikable? What would surprise people the most, Ed?
Well, I think what's so interesting in the book is that Hillary determined that she was going to keep Bill Clinton on the sidelines, away from the campaign, so he couldn't overshadow her or influence her campaign managers or interfere and say off-the-cuff things that he did in 2008 and do harm. But as we've seen in recent days, this campaign has become so desperate that they are now rolling out Bill Clinton as a major, major part of the campaign. They've gone to the big dog and said, please save us.
And there's a reason for that, apparently, Betsy, because we're now taking a look at the figures. Hillary Clinton has apparently spent 90% of the money she's raised. Is she just repeating the mistakes from 2008?
The reason is she's not getting any earned media, that is television and radio and print appearances based on her policies. All of her unpaid media is about the bad story of her constant deceptions, especially regarding her emails. So she's spending all this money on spin masters and on lawyers and a preparation for testimony when she should be out there delivering her policy messages. This is a campaign in real trouble.
We should note, on the other hand, Ed, Bernie Sanders is raking in the dough. He raised $26 million. Of course, on the Republican side, Dr. Ben Carson pocketed a healthy $20 million. Ed, your take on these other candidates vis-a-vis Hillary and her situation. About a minute remains.
I just want to agree with Betsy and point out that Hillary is going to be a guest on this Saturday's Saturday Night Live. And guess who is going to be the host? Miley Cyrus. So maybe we're going to see Hillary Clinton do some tweaking this Saturday night.
Or might that be twerking?
Well done, Ed.
She tries to tweak the campaign with twerking on Saturday Night Live. That's an interesting visual image. Betsy, rescue us from this. Your last word of wisdom here. Give us 15 seconds on what we need to see.
Hillary is such a serial liar, not just about the emails, but even when she rolls out policy. I have a piece in the New York Post today about her serial lying on her health care, on her own chief issue. She can't stand in front of a camera or an audience and force herself to tell the truth. It's a really chronic problem.
We will have to leave it there. Betsy McCaughey, our thanks to you. Ed Klein, the name of Ed's new book again, Unlikable, The Problem with Hillary. The Vatican backpedals on its meeting with Kim Davis. Our political panel of Ellis Hinniken and Glenn Downs offer their views next as Newsmax Prime continues.